Hello, DP. How are you today?
What's going on, Estefania?
Just the usual. I'm coming actually not the usual. I'm back home today, which actually feels incredibly good. I'm
It's
ready to
great.
take a break from travel for a hot minute.
I think for 2 weeks, and then you're back at it,
Yeah,
right?
actually, it's 2 weeks.
It is a hot minute. Very quick.
Yeah. How about you? What's going on with you?
I'm ready to do a little traveling, actually. I'm headed to ETH Toronto next week.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can get you to Mexico City as well.
Well, let's make it happen. If we can't get one of the engineers, gotta share the travel a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you. Must be tough actually. You have a family, so traveling isn't something that maybe you want to do all of the time.
I like to travel. I think under different circumstances, I would just bring the whole family, but I work like it's kind of funny. I have in the past, and I just work, and they get to have fun and travel, and I see them sometimes in the evenings. The reach culture, I don't know, startup culture, reach culture, it's very close, and when we do get to travel, it's like being reunited with old friends. As it
Totally.
feels like we've been at this for like 5 to 10 years, and it's it's been just several months. So yeah, but I do like seeing the team and being around everyone once in a while is nice.
So we both have some new things in our lives going on. You got a new haircut, I got new
Yes,
hair.
these haircuts, yeah. It's time for change. You gotta keep it interesting, keep life moving. Life can get stale, after some time, and if you're not looking for ways to reinvent a little bit, then what are you doing? You're just doing the same things. So sometimes, the saying is that what you did yesterday is what you'll do today, and every now and then you got to change up your todays.
I love that. It's true. Sometimes, whether it be just maybe taking a different course as you walk around your neighborhood, whatever
Yeah,
that might be, keeps things a little exciting.
definitely.
So today we wanted to talk about community, and maybe a little bit more about the Solana hack,
Yeah.
and see what else we get into. But let's start with community. What does that mean to you, and how do you see that being nurtured currently in our ecosystem here at Reach?
Yeah, I think community is an embodiment of people who are trying to work towards a unified goal. And there's conflict in that. Not everyone has different ideas about what that goal should be, or what the end should look like, or if they have a shared vision of what the end should look like, it's the means that have some debate in there. And I think that there is a tendency to try to like avoid that conflict. But what we're realizing in Web3 is that it's really a conflict is the source of truth. Like there's the golden nuggets are in there. And I think like if anyone's gone to like therapy or anything like that, therapists will tell you that as well. Like, and the conflict is like that's where there's growth is trying to happen
Yeah,
inside of the conflict.
absolutely. I don't remember who it was, but when I was in East Barcelona, I saw someone speak, and they were talking about just how important it is for stewards in the Web3 space to really consider like not being so agreeable, and the importance of having those disagreements quickly rather than like pushing it to the side and just like waiting around hoping for something to change. It's like
Right.
the actual growth happens when you dig deep and get to the root of the issue. And it might be uncomfortable at the beginning, but
Yeah.
that little sense of comfortability can lead to great results and even greater relationships amongst your community or individuals you're communicating with, because pent up emotions don't generally lead to good things, or even inspiring environments to want to collaborate in.
Right. The penting up emotions can lead to burnout, frustrations that are unspoken, and creates miscommunication, which creates a cycle of frustration. It just kind of twirls down into a negative feedback loop. You mentioned the change, and it's just such a common saying to like be the change. But really, if we see a change, and that's what I think a lot of people, at least myself, a big reason of being in Web3 is that I see I see ecologies and economies that are in need of change, and I want to be part of that. I don't have all the answers. I don't know what everything should be, but I know that I can play a small role in being a change, as opposed to just submitting myself to being a cog in old wheels. If I am going to be a cog, it's kind of a depressing thought, but I'm going to choose to be something that has an opportunity for regeneration and growth, rather than systems that we already know and are in the process of failing.
Hmm. I love that. Um, Speaking of processes of failing, what's going on with the Solana community?
Nice segue. A lot of pain, from what I understand. I haven't followed it closely, but just hitting the headlines. More than 7,000 wallets were completely drained. Looks
We're
like
thinking of 20 per minute happening as well.
it's wild. This is like a skeptical statement, but Solana has stopped their network a few times in the past. Ethereum has rewound history in the past. It'll be interesting to see what Solana does to deal with this, if they just keep moving forward, or like my belief is that Solana is a centralized blockchain. So if they're able to stop the network, how hard is it to reverse time? Ethereum has forked in the past. Um, so will Solana just move forward and say this was a loss? We learned a lot, or will they rectify it, or what will happen?
Well, Solana has a lot of funding. They have a lot of funds, which allows them to be sort of a market winner right now, get a lot of attention, a lot of really good paid marketing to get people involved and builders to start building on them. Um, I personally have not been a fan of Solana because of its centralization and its, um, in my opinion, overhype. Because L2s are just as inexpensive to interact with on Ethereum, at least. Algorand is even cheaper to interact with.
As an L1.
Yeah, and it's an L1. And it's like I've been thinking about this a lot recently too, because I've been interacting with a little bit with more ecosystems, especially L2s on Ethereum. Because I was like, okay, well, I want to give these a shot. I just got an optimism airdrop, and I was like, okay, awesome, this is great. Let me figure this out. Um, but then, even as I was claiming my funds, bridging funds over in order to claim my funds, I was like, why does it take so long for me to get my funds? And like, I think even at one point, some of my funds didn't make it through because there was like something happened during that bridge where my
Mhm.
transaction was canceled, and I think it like I haven't really looked into it because the TX still confuses me, so I can't like fully read because sometimes it like just shows that your funds just disappear, and I'm just like, okay, well, there goes my zero point zero 0.01 ETH that I just transferred over, whatever, right?
Right.
Um, and it's like really frustrating. And then just makes me so grateful for Algorand. Because also what I did last week is I bought like 8 Algorand NFTs after being at the Algorand London event. I was inspired to listen to all these creators. I created a tweet to get to learn about the NFTs in the ecosystem, and I looked through all the women-led projects that were suggested to me. So I bought 8 of them, and I was like, yes, this is awesome. So fast, so quick. It cost me less than a penny for all my transactions.
Right.
And I was in awe. So leads me back to Solana. Um, yeah, I mean, you still pay a few pennies every time you transact. And also, it seems like time and time again, all I hear are just like negative things in regards to what's happening with exploits. And I'm not saying like Solana shouldn't exist, because I do think like with the right minds involved, it could still be a very successful blockchain. And I just believe in our company a bit too much, but maybe not too much. I think like even with Reach being integrated with Solana or something of that nature, we could help um, put a halt to a lot of these exploits if more people built with us. Having our formal verification in
Mhm.
mind, having a lot of this, the thought process of a full application so that participants aren't exploited and people are actually thinking through um, how interactions will happen in the ecosystem will really save people millions of dollars at this point. So I think it could succeed, but they just need better help with their tech.
Yeah, it looks like just going over some reports here that Solana's saying it's not a weakness in or a fault in their network, but in software wallets. Right? It's just a bug in software wallets. And how long will community members, how often will people allow themselves to be burned? And this is definitely a hindrance. Maybe someone in crypto is going to like be okay. I lost it, but it's okay. But someone who's like mainstream, a so-called normie is not going to tolerate that, right?
Yeah.
People who are hedge fund investors or people who are responsible for other people's money that can't invest in something like that that is potentially going to be hacked and lose their millions of dollars for a number of clients. So this is like a serious issue, um, and the immutability of the blockchain requires that we have formal verification, and I'm sure that all of these wallets were uh, audited and did their due diligence. Without a solution like Reach, this is going to continue happening and it's going to continue setting the industry back.
I think this is where empathy and understanding for the 99% of the world who's yet to enter blockchain comes into importance. And I say this because, again, like people talk about, like, oh, the fees aren't that bad. It's only a few pennies or a few dollars. But like, I compare that to like myself and my family who lives in Latin America. And like I can buy a whole meal with those gas fees. So like
Mhm.
I can't imagine someone in these other countries like literally just burning through a whole meal every day they want to transact or transfer funds over somewhere. Like it
Right.
just it's a pretty it's a pretty entitled, not entitled, but a privileged way of thinking about like, oh, it's only a few dollars or a few cents. It's like, well, actually, 99% of the world probably wouldn't be able to afford that on a consistent basis. So, what is going to make them sort of latch on to this new world? Like, this is not blockchain for the mainstream. This isn't blockchain for everyone. So we need to think about better ways to do that to really include the rest of the community.
Yeah, the industry is certainly nascent, and we need a global to be thinking globally to understand the problems. But I think the best way to do that is to empower global citizens, right? Empower people around the globe with the knowledge of how to build on blockchain, and they're going to be the best people to solve their community's problems. They just need the tools. Like I
Mhm.
wouldn't go to like say Guatemala where our producer lives and be like, okay, this is how we fix Guatemala. Like that would be completely ridiculous for me to attempt. But
Right.
um, we can train people, Guatemalan citizens, and educate them and like, okay, these are like tools that you can use here. Now you have new tools in your pocket. You know your country, you know your city better than anyone else. You know your neighborhoods better than anyone else. Use these tools in new and interesting ways to create greater levels of prosperity for everyone. So that's that's like my focus is in education is I can give these tools to people around the world and have this focus on this is how you use it, go forth, and I'll support you however I can.
Yeah. I was actually looking for the decentralized emoji team. So in the decentralized emoji hack that just passed, so that was
Mhm.
two. Um, we had this group of gents. There were four of them working on an application, and they were developing this application called the Municipality Budget Checker. And I
Hmm.
feel like I've talked about this before, but there's something to that, right? Like someone who sees that there is fraud happening in their local government or country in general, and they're wanting to put a halt to this. So they've ideated this concept of holding their municipal budget accountable and ensuring that is tracked by blockchain technology through this transparent ledger, which would also then allow for local community members to create proposals. So, say they wanted to implement better infrastructure, they would create this proposal, which would have sort of like a budget of how much it would cost. Then it would be voted on the community, and funds could be distributed based on if it passed or it did not. And things like that, like to your point, is like those local individuals who are literally going through it have some of the most brilliant ideas. You just have to provide them with the tools in order for them to get to the next step. And
Right.
I think
That's
that's
brilliant.
really interesting.
That is brilliant. Yeah, I love it. Um, Tackling corruption with blockchain, right? It's verified, immutable blockchain. That's perfect. That's a perfect use case.
But then it's kind of contradictory, right? So battling corruption with blockchain, yet we see thousands of wallets get drained. So
Yeah,
are
it's
we
a
really
different type of corruption.
that?
It's a different type of corruption. I think this is the need. This stresses the need for formal verification and uh, contracts that will not compile if there's an error, if this cannot be formally verified, just simply does not complete. This is where if these wallet service providers, there's always the possibility, um, but we've found that reach applications are secure. And of course, there's always the possibility, but this just stresses like how important reach, or the very least a product like reach, is important to this ecosystem. And that in order for us to move mainstream and to give peace of mind for mainstream public audience, they're going to need to see better tooling, more mature tooling than what we currently have.
Hmm. Now, what's been going on in the blockchain ecosystem besides this hack that you've been sort of tracking or following?
My focus as far as like outside of reach has just been on the hacks that we're involved in. So we've got a big event coming up, Boston Blockchain Week. That's at the end of September. I believe it's the 20s, so 21, 22, 23 of September. So it's going to be actually in Quincy, being put together by Algorand, our friends at
Cubic
uh,
Labs,
Cubic Labs, and
Easy
um,
A, and Reach are
Easy.
putting on the
Right.
Boston Hackathon, which is actually happening the 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
Yeah.
So we urge you to apply. And also, if you're interested in sponsoring, please reach out. We want people to build with you if you have a protocol or an L1 or L2. We encourage you to get involved because it's going to be quite exciting. I think it's pretty incredible that we've been able to tap into the Ivy League blockchain
Yeah.
clubs, which is really exciting as well to see so many young, ambitious individuals wanting to get involved. And it seems like we're going to get over 300 applicants. So excited to
Right.
see.
This is going to be very exciting. Number of university applicants and graduate students and people from the community. So we're looking for different L2s who want to be sponsors. Certainly, Algorand is our flagship sponsor, and we're looking at some really beautiful venue options to host this event at. So this is very exciting. I'm looking forward to being there in Boston in the fall. I think it'll be a beautiful time of year as well.
And are you thinking about hacking in Toronto when you head over there?
Yeah, so I've got a small team of Reach developers and designers who we've got a team put together. So we're just waiting for the event to start so we can get started.
Any
Yeah.
ideas on what the project will be?
Not yet. I've been kind of mulling it over in my head, but I need to connect with them and have that little chat about what do we want to build. And I think it's also helpful to do a little research on who's coming, the sponsors. So I'd like to do that probably like tomorrow. Be my research day to see what they're offering and what kind of APIs we can plug in and what we could build.
Awesome. And who's putting on ETH Toronto?
I believe it's part of the ETH Global consortium.
Hmm. I didn't see it on their list.
Let's see. My first hack was actually ETH Waterloo hack in
Oh,
like 2016, 2017. Yeah, it was held there at the university across from an old distillery. I met Vitalik. I got the world's most awkward selfie with him.
that's so awesome. That's
Yeah,
so cool.
that was fun. I caught him at a door. It's like, can you get me a selfie? And I leaned in, and he leaned out, and I was like, okay, we'll just do this quick and get out of here.
That's so awesome.
He,
Okay,
he
so
said he said he would by the chance. Yeah, so Blockchain Futures Conference, apparently. It's official hackathon of the Blockchain Futures Conference. I haven't looked into like the background details of who's running this.
it's okay. I'll look into it so we can
Yeah.
find out who's putting it together to do something so
This is going to be a pretty big deal. So Vitalik is scheduled to be there and to speak. I think it started as kind of a small thing and it's just blown up into this really huge event. They've got a number of high level community members in the industry who are scheduled to speak. So like their about page for who's attending is just it just goes on and on and on.
amazing. Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
like a full packed event.
yeah, definitely.
That's exciting. Yeah, and going back to Boston Blockchain Week. So it seems like we're going to have some exciting speakers as well. I think one of the things I'm most looking forward to is the sort of crossover between conference and actual hackathon. I feel like usually you just kind of show up, you get a couple workshops, and then go into a hack. But what's going to be pretty neat about Boston is that you're going to get a full packed week of events to show up to, which are somewhat technical, some not technical at all, which that in itself I think allows for a greater, more diverse group of individuals to come in and listen and learn and be inspired by what's
Yeah.
happening in the space, or those interested on hopping into the space and how to get started. And then leading into some workshops, the creator workshops that will all sort of be in line with what you should prepare for when going into a hackathon, how to get involved. I also want to encourage people who aren't maybe not so technical to join hackathon teams and groups because there are different um, needs, realms of expertise like project management, design, things of that nature that really help create a better product. And sometimes even like your opinions or listening to the technicals sort of make sense of something. You could provide value because you're seeing something that maybe they're not fully thinking about, which really helps inspire new ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a strong hack team includes a couple full stack developers, maybe someone who specializes front end, someone's back end, a graphic designer, and then a product manager, a project manager who can like see the big picture and keep the constraints really tight, keep the group focused, and maybe a who is also perhaps they're also technical or they have some kind of like design skills so they can help in one area or the other um, when they're actually like doing the build. And then if you have the option for a fifth person, a hacker, a designer, or someone who walks between those two spaces
Mhm.
or has some kind of a specialty to add some little flair to the project. So I think that makes a very strong team.
And we've been doing these sort of daily, weekly hacks here at Reach. Can you tell us a little bit
Yeah.
more about that and why they're important, how they might be able to help someone's developer journey?
Yeah, so we've had, I think this is the fourth weekly coding challenge. The Bear Builder challenges. They've been fun activities for hackers, developers, people to learn without a whole lot of pressure and a bit of a reward. So we've been making 3 levels, been working with Nick Stanford on these. He's been producing weekly demo videos showing how to build the actual L1, the level one. So it's like an easy 20 algos right there, 20 USDC. I'm not sure what the payout is exactly. I know it's a unit of 20 something. And then there's a level 2 and a level 3. And so, of course, as the levels go up, it gets a little bit harder, a little more challenging. But the goal is to help people, to encourage them to build, to get out of their comfort zone, and then to go beyond from just building the back end or like the command line test suite to building a full-fledged GUI, graphic user interface that works on testnet, and a user would be able to click the buttons and go through and enter the fields to actually participate in the application. So these have been fun challenges. We've had a number of people. We have winners every week. Someone who gets like a jackpot. I believe the last person to win made off with a cool 520. So, very nice. And everyone who submits gets a little something, like at least 20. Uh, and I think it's 40 and 60 for the level 2 and level 3 respectively.
Nice. Now,
Yeah.
this might be a little naive of a question, but I'm very curious. Why is it that, like, even if someone's application's complete, and they have like a full functioning MVP, why is it that it's only deployed to testnet and not mainnet?
Yeah, in this case, they're kind of these are just challenges that we've dreamed up, and have been things that like the community has said they want to understand better. So what better way to understand something than to build it? But certainly, an application could be released to mainnet. Um, Generally, if one wants to do this and they actually intend for people to really interact with the application, today would still want to get that audited, and just to make sure there's no vulnerabilities. Maybe a weekly challenge isn't quite like robust enough or compelling enough to publish to mainnet. It does actually cost like real algos to do that if you're on Algorand. But I
How
feel like
many algos?
psychologically speaking, there's nothing stopping someone from doing that.
How many algos does it cost to deploy to mainnet?
What is it, like 0.003 usually?
Really?
I
Wow.
Yeah,
I
it's not much.
remember on Ethereum, sometimes it could be like a full ETH or two.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. ETH is pricey.
Wow. Yeah. So I used to be like a really big ETH maxi,
Yeah,
hence the tattoo on my wrist.
right,
Um, but like, and I maybe this is biased because I like hang out in the Algorand ecosystem so much, but like not even just like the interactions I've had recently, I'm just like, wow, it's secure, it's fast. Like, why haven't I been spending so much money in this other ecosystem? So
right.
actually, I don't know if this is gonna happen yet, but I really want to like fight for it. Speaking of community and being the theme of this, I really want to bridge an Ethereum community into Algorand.
Yeah,
And it started sort of like this idea of like, okay, well, okay, so I'm a part of Pizza DAO, right? And
right.
Pizza DAO is all about like making pizza free for the people. And I think that concept is like really great because I think a pizza in itself, right? When you think about a pie, sharing a pie cut
Mhm.
into 8 slices, like that's like the original DAO, right? Like you're breaking bread with your friends
Right,
and you're sharing conversation. Maybe you split the bill to like have this pie, and so there's like something to that that could be sort of like metaphorical, but also educational. And then there's just something beautiful about like sharing food and meals with people and being
right,
able to provide that for anyone and everyone, while also supporting local mom and pop shops rather than chains, to like buy pizza for your events, blockchain events, etc. Um, so I really like that concept, and I feel like it is great because they're one of like the leaders in the DAO ecosystem as well as the NFT space. Like they've
yeah,
been around for a long time.
right,
And that in itself is super awesome, right? They've built this reputation, incredible community of builders and just creatives. And they have some pretty good autonomy. They have a Latin America branch. I believe they have individuals in Korea. So it's pretty international as well.
Right.
And that like has always like just thought it was like really inspiring and really beautiful. So I like have a pizza. I want to bridge it to Algorand and maybe shard it and bring in the Algorand ecosystem into Pizza DAO. We could create a sub DAO about it, have our own treasury, continue to follow the same concepts of funding pizza events, and just giving pizza to the people.
I
And
love
why
it.
not?
Yeah. The Pizzago DAO.
Zago DAO.
Pizzago.
Is that like, are you trying to make it Italian?
Yes, it's Italian and it includes algo.
That's so funny because everything on Algorand's like, I'll go this, I'll go
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And then you've got humble.
That's so funny. But what do you think about that? Like, do you think that's plausible? And if so, like I'm not even too familiar with DAO ecosystems on Algorand. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, let's peel back the layers of the garlic, if you will. Um, so you're gonna take Pizza DAO and you're going to I don't know fork it or you're going to make a sub DAO that's on a new L1 and you're going to maybe bring in some of your Pizza DAO friends from the ETH community to help you build this new Algorand focused Pizza DAO, and then have maybe some leaders from Algorand, and the idea would be to like I guess at the end of the day, you're bringing pizza to Algorand events, right? Everyone loves that. Um, so thinking about governance a bit, right? With you've got communities are ruled by governance systems. If you look at, I'm going to get on a tangent here, excuse me. If you watch children play, they spend as much, if not more time debating the rules of the play as actually playing. As like as an adult, you'll think, just play, like just have the good time and play. But as they're playing, they're developing the structure and the rules of how they're all going to behave and organize with each other. And that is part of play. And they're doing it in a really like a democratic way. And sometimes you have a bigger kid with a bigger voice and like they kind of rule over it. So maybe it becomes less democratic. But if the kids are about equal size, equal age, all things otherwise being equal, they will go back and forth and figure it out together. And I think that relates to the DAO and like something new is that as you're forming the community, there's going to be different voices about how we want to run this thing. And there's going to be the debates. And like as we had started this conversation with, is that conflict is growth trying to happen. There are nuggets of truth inside of that conflict. So I think it's it's wonderful. Like you already have the model, right? Pizza DAO is a wonderful organization. How can we bring it to a new L1 and maybe improve upon it?
Yeah. Um, I think that's kind of the goal, right? And it'd be a really great way to engage a whole new community, while still engaging the old one, because it's not
Mhm.
like either or. I think there could be an and the community, right? So it's all about just like how can we collaborate, and also continue the conversation of this multi-chain future or being blockchain
Yeah,
agnostic or having the ability to
right.
choose to not pay thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars in gas fees versus just like paying a couple algo, while still getting the same sort of result or a little bit different maybe. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think we're up to something.
It's the interoperability through pizza.
Yeah, interoperability through pizza. I love that.
Pizza's interoperable, right?
I mean, yes, but I'm like trying to think about it. It's like, well, if I'm lactose intolerant, can I get like like
And
is
get the gluten-free crust with no
dairy
cheese.
cheese?
Yeah, dairy-free cheese.
So is there interoperability amongst humans within pizza?
I think so.
That's interesting. But yeah, I don't really have much more to add on beyond wanting to bridge communities and having them collaborate and interact. Are there any final words that you'd like to share with the world?
Well, I think it's an important thought, right? It's easy to become an Ethereum maximalist or a Solana maximalist or an Algorand maximalist. And oftentimes, what happens, something in human psychology, is that when something goes bad in the community or like there's wrong, rather than taking a step back and have a rational observation as an emotional species, we will actually dig our heels in deeper. As in, this really has to be the thing. And
Mm,
that's not necessarily healthy. Having interoperable conversations and interoperable organizations can help alleviate some of that stress. You have a voice of reason saying, this is like a great idea. We love the project, we love the protocol, but we can also recognize that there are like great needs of improvement. This protocol, maybe this works for, in the case of Ethereum, it works for early adopters of ETH who have hundreds of thousands of ETHs. Maybe it works for someone in a first world country who's, this is to be blunt, privileged. But this doesn't work for someone in a developing nation that doesn't have access to the same kind of resources. How can we improve that? Well, we have these other examples over here. Maybe we can look at them for ways that we can improve our ecosystem. So rather than creating this like toxic maximalist tribalism, we can peer into the windows of one another's houses, so to speak, and say, this is what they do, this is what's working, and why can't we emulate that and become better together?
absolutely. I love that. I think that's like a great final note. Innovation doesn't happen without such collaboration, and there's a need to sort of like learn from each other in whatever capacity it is. So, um, yeah, I've definitely been guilty of being tribalistic and maximalistic about certain things, but it also comes with like the sort of FUD, the fear, the uncertainty, and the unknown.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, that we kind of create amongst ourselves because we also want to pump our own bags and want to make sure that we win and things of that nature, which is fine. Like you should want to win, but there's so much more to it that at the end of the day, the greater concept is for everyone to win or for everyone to find something about what's happening as an innovation layer to what currently is, so that we can continue to improve the world we're in.
What's better than GMI? It's AGMI.
We're all gonna make it.
We're all gonna make it. What if
I
what
love
if
it.
we all do make it?
Well, there you have it, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions about anything we've spoken about, please feel free to leave a comment in the chat, or feel free to ping us directly on Twitter. Just discover this fun little feature you can see.
Woo!
And then you can follow us, the real JP Miller
We're
and
there.
NFT Mommy. And if you haven't yet, I'm going to show this. I have reawoken my writing spirit. So I have a weekly newsletter that goes out with sort of updates of things that I'm up to, that we're up to within Reach, and general things going on in the NFT ecosystem as well as blockchain. So if you want to stay up to date, follow me, subscribe. You can find it on Twitter. It's pinned at the top.
Be at the description too, yeah?
Yes.
Last call to action, sign up for Boston Blockchain Week.
There you have
Be
it.
there.